Alright, so we've actually got some video here from Real Time with Bill Maher, with none other than Bill Maher himself. Now, as you guys all know, Bill Maher has been all over the place during these past 4 years. So in 2016, he was avidly pro-Bernie. After 2016, he had on Bernie Sanders. He said, brother, if you run again, I'm going to endorse you once again. And then all of a sudden, when the election rolled around, he started saying stuff like, I'm taking a hard look at Amy Klobuchar, then started praising Pete Buttigieg, and he was doing a lot of really weird stuff where he was kind of like just randomly kind of turned on Bernie Sanders. Then he kind of turned back around to Bernie Sanders, and now he seems to be pretty firmly in the Bernie Sanders camp once again. So in this clip that you're going to be seeing here, this first clip, we've actually got 2 clips to look at. In this first clip, Bill Maher is going to go off and pretty hard, pretty avidly against pundits who are saying that Bernie can't win, and he's also going to meme the blue no matter whoers who are no longer blue no matter who because Bernie Sanders is winning. So it's some pretty funny stuff, some pretty good stuff. So go ahead and check this out.
And it's interesting, the hypocrisy here. First it was, hey, you Bernie bros, you got to get on board this time, whoever the nominee is. Now that the nominee is Bernie.
That's right.
That's right.
Now they're like, we got to stop him. Wait, I thought you said whoever the nominee is.
First of all, it is true that some parts of the Democratic establishment don't like Bernie Sanders and that he makes them very uncomfortable. That's true. And I think it's okay that the Democratic Party is uncomfortable right now. We have a transformation that we need to do within our party. We have 2 wings, right? And you need both wings to fly. You need the progressives and the moderates. I always say you need all shades of blue. And so it is clear that as Democrats, for the past 10 years, we've been talking about this rising American electorate, that it's younger, that it's going to be more diverse, that it's women, that they're going to be more progressive. Guess what? They're here. And guess what? They want Bernie Sanders. So we, as the Democratic Party, have to bring everybody together.
Great. I like this idea. Let's get more of this.
The latest Axios poll has Bernie losing to Trump, but closer than all the other Democrats, 47 to 15 nationally. He beats him in Pennsylvania by 4. Look, all these pundits who I hear say things like, well, Bernie will lose 45 states. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You never know. We never know. You're the same people who said Trump wouldn't even get the nomination. You don't know. What we don't know is Bernie needs a revolution to show up. He needs people who have never voted before. Now, they are not showing up in those numbers in the primary, but we don't know. But now, since Trump, I think, is not going to leave anyway, might as well run Bernie.
So that was actually pretty awesome to watch. Now, I did not know who Jane Kleeb was, but apparently she is the chair of the Nebraska Democratic Party, and I think she's on the board of Our Revolution. So she's definitely on my radar now. So shout out to Jane because she's really spitting some facts on there and talking about how, yeah, the coalition is here. Bernie Sanders is demolishing. He's actually winning with black voters now. He's demolishing with Hispanic voters, and then he has a pretty solid lead amongst white voters. And then also, in addition to that, he's also got, for example, in the previous primary or caucus, you know, he basically had the biggest share of moderates behind him. And so when you look at second choice candidates, so for example, for Joe Biden, his biggest second choice, the plurality of his voters go to Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren, 40% of them go to Bernie Sanders. So he's basically dominating. And then in the other candidates, some of them, he's only like 2 points down in terms of the second choice. So it's this bogus thing that's trying to be painted by the media. Oh, look, if you bring all the moderates together, hey, look, you beat them. But the problem is they're not voting on ideological lines. And so Elizabeth Warren is blood-sucking a bunch of votes from Bernie Sanders, and then if Joe Biden drops out, a ton of his support, a plurality of his support goes to Bernie himself. And same thing goes for Warren, a vast plurality. And then even the other candidates, you know, some of them have a big number going to Bernie Sanders. So that's the thing. And so she's right about how we have the coalition here. This is the coalition, and that's an argument we need to start making. We need to tell them, hey, look, the coalition is here. The coalition is with the Bernie Sanders campaign. That's where the coalition is. And so it's a good argument to make. And then when Bill Maher rants against the, those commentators, ironically, he's the commentator he's talking about. So he's now criticizing himself in the past. What I will say is I welcome him coming around because we can use the help, obviously. But he is no doubt doing that himself. He was just talking about how Bernie Sanders can't win. He's a socialist. He's too far left. We need Amy Klobuchar, the centrist person. He was literally just saying that, so he's memeing himself. He's criticizing himself, which is fine. I'm happy he's came around. Welcome back to the Not Me Us movement, Bill Maher. I don't know why you left in the first place. But yes, those pundits were wrong about everything. All the polls indicate that Bernie Sanders would be the best candidate to win. And then obviously having the same mealy mouth centrist garbage is the dumbest idea ever. If you just look at it from a very basic standpoint, right? Look at Hillary Clinton back in 2016. What did she run as? She ran as a centrist, a moderate. How did that fare for Hillary Clinton? She lost the election against the most disliked politician in all of history. And do you want to repeat that? Imagine thinking that repeating the same thing will give you a different result. Seriously, imagine that. It's absolutely hilarious. And so, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, and Bill Maher is right to sort of rave and rant against those people and be like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. And there's too much stock in these Democratic strategists and these political analysts and commentators. When you consistently get something wrong, you're no longer an expert or a legit analyst that I take seriously, okay? If you're Dr. Jason Johnson with a PhD in political science or whatever he has a PhD in, and you said that Bernie was going to be out in August, he's not even going to be able to scrape by with 12% once all the candidates are in, like, dude, I don't take you seriously. You're wrong. You have a PhD, but you're an idiot. You know what I mean? So these news networks need to stop valuing these 65-year-olds with degrees and start looking at it from a more legit perspective. You know, there are younger people with degrees, you know? So you don't need to have on Chris Matthews or people who are saying that they're going to be taken out to Central Park and all this crazy stuff, you know? It's so unnecessary, dude. It's so unnecessary. Now, there's actually a second clip that I wanted to show you because I think it's an important piece of our public dialogue. And so with the COVID-19 going on right now, the coronavirus, it's finally bringing light to Medicare for all, health insurance, and paid sick leave. So I want you to check out this clip, and then I want to come back and talk about this.
Would having a public health care system like Medicare for all, good question, make it easier to deal with, but that's a great political question we didn't get to. You know, what a time for that issue in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, I could see that really helping Bernie, but the question is, would a public health care system like Medicare for all make it easier to deal with a pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what?
I mean, you think...
Well, we don't know what it would look like yet. So
but just in general, I mean, you think about a pandemic, or you think about illness in general, and the issue is that everybody needs health care, and if you have somebody who can't afford health care, who's sick, not able to take care of themselves,
right.
Those people are everywhere. Those people, I mean, everybody is everywhere, and so really, we are as healthy and as safe as the poorest and least insured, least capable person of taking care of themselves. We're all in this together, and so that is a perfect example of how we should all be in this together.
Takes a village.
I mean, what matters, presumably, is universal coverage. It doesn't really matter whether it's a single-payer system or a multi-payer system.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be Medicare for all. It just needs universal coverage.
A lot of people go to work sick now.
Exactly.
Do they not? Don't a lot of people in America, even before this, go to work?
Well, a lot of people
sick?
go to work also not knowing that they even have this, right? Which is one of the concerns.
Yes.
But
yes.
But I think
They're looking like I'm crazy.
But I think that the big issue here is this issue of work culture. So we're telling everybody, listen, if you can stay home, if you don't feel well, just stay home and don't go to work. But there are a lot of people that don't have a choice if they get to go to work or not because they're not going to have a paycheck.
This is the only country in the world that doesn't have paid leave.
Moms or dads whose kids get sick and they can't, they have no family leave whatsoever at work, which is sort of, I think, one of the big underlying issues we're going to face in the election.
Right. Okay. No, I agree with you completely. And it's this issue of, are you going to go to work if you're sick, if you can't put food on your table, if you can't pay your rent, if you're not going to be able to take care of your children, yourself, your elderly parent? I mean, it's not.
So yeah, this is a really crucial piece of our public dialogue. It's honestly insane that there's 0 paid sick leave days mandated by law. In every other country in the world, I think they all have some number, but in the United States, we have 0. And so one of the big reasons of the coronavirus spread is going to be so high is because people don't have health insurance, which means you can't go and get yourself checked. And then second of all, people don't have paid sick leave, and so you can't stay home to prevent yourself from passing it to other people. And we have this such like insane like zombie work mentality where it's like you need to work every single day till the day you die, and you need to feel like you're going to die every day of your life from your back-breaking labor that you're doing, you know? And so once you combine all that garbage together, you set up this system in which a pandemic or epidemic is basically has breeding grounds, right? It's extremely fertile grounds for a pandemic to set up and an epidemic in the United States. And so, yeah, that's very important. Another thing that's really important that we need is home and health care, man. You know, not only would it be really great because you have, like when you know, a lot of older folks need help, you know, just getting by, and so they need someone to help them. And so, you know, every family has somebody like that. You know, you all know somebody who needs help to be taken care of when they're in their old age, you know, probably your grandma or your mom, depending on your age, and your grandpa, whatever, you know, and we need people like that. And so Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan, his Medicare will provide that. And so what that'll do is that'll create a ton of jobs for people to work as, you know, at-home nurses, basically. So that would be really awesome as well to, you know, help you know, people, essentially, you know, older folks who are just basically debilitated and sort of at the end of their lives, but it's not over yet. They need help. So that's going to be really helpful as well. But this conversation about paid sick leave and about Medicare for all, like coronavirus may be the thing that convinces people formally and officially that we need Medicare for all, we need health insurance for all, and that we need to have paid sick leave days because this is the thing, man. Once rich people are able to get hit by this, or their workforce is able to get hit by this pretty heavy, this is not looking good with the coronavirus stuff going on right now. And yeah, we're in big trouble. So at least I'm glad to see this paid sick leave convo and the Medicare for All convo start happening, and epidemiologists are starting to talk about this. Public health experts, you know, people with degrees in public health and epidemiology are saying, hey, we need health insurance to make sure. Just having health insurance in general prevents ER visits and catastrophic situations that cost a lot of money. It's called preventative care for a reason, right? That's why you have your PCP, right? But if you don't have insurance to have a PCP, well, what happens? You end up going to the ER with cancer, like stage 4 cancer, or you have a heart attack because you weren't taking care of yourself because you didn't have a PCP, or you had something going on that you want to get checked because you didn't have enough money, and boom, check it out. It's life fatal. It's a disgusting and really morally depraved system that we have, and it doesn't make sense economically. But this is what we need to change it, obviously. So glad to see this conversation happening.